teachings of Rabbi Ephraim Sprecher, Dean of Students at Diaspora Yeshiva on Mount Zion, Jerusalem.
Good afternoon. T'raim Tovim. Happy birthday, Israel. Yesterday was Israel's 72nd birthday. Mazel Tov. Israel was 72 years young yesterday. It's amazing that the Parsha of the week, incredible, always speaks to current events. The Parsha we're going to read this Shabbos, Achrei Mot Kedoshim, Vayikra 20, Pasuk 24, is saying exactly what took place in May 1948, which also happened to be Parshas Kedoshim, Hey Yar. And God says in Vayikra 20, verse 24, the Parsha of the week, Kedoshim, V'omer lachem. And God says, I say to you, Atem, you, Tirshu Adat Matam, you shall inherit their land. Vani, God says, and I, Etnena lachem, and I give it to you, L'reshet Ota, to possess her, the land of Israel, Eretz Zavas Cholav Advash, a land flowing with milk and honey. This is the Parsha we read this Shabbos. This was the Parsha of the week, also in May 1948, 72 years ago, Hey Yar, that Friday. The week was Parshas Kedoshim. So it's amazing the Torah is telling us, in the week that we proclaim the state of Israel, I am giving you the land, to possess the land. Pretty amazing, huh? A land flowing with milk and honey. The Torah keeps using that refrain over and over again. Why not oranges and avocados? Israel has beautiful oranges and avocados, grapefruits. Why constantly cholav advash? Over and over again. Dozens of times. Never oranges, never grapefruits, even though we have delicious oranges and grapefruits. Why is that? Well, oranges and grapefruits and avocado, maybe they're more plentiful in California. Could be. So God only uses the praise of Israel that he knows that Israel is unique. Chalav udvash. Now you can Google this. Chalav, milk. The Israeli cow gives more milk per cow than any cow in the world. So therefore God uses chalav, because oranges and avocados, perhaps there's more plentiful in California. But chalav, God took a survey before Google, and the Israeli cow gives more milk than any cow in the world. So the God is going to use a praise that he knows is unique for Israel. And duvash, what's unique about honey? Date honey we're talking about. You can Google this also. The Israeli date tree gives more dates per tree than any date tree in the entire world. So 3,333 years ago, before Google, God uses the praise that he knows is unique for Israel. Chalav, milk, more plentiful than any cow. And Davash, the date palm trees in Israel, give more date honey and dates per tree than any date tree in the entire world. Talking about chalav, milk from cows, a cow goes moo. How does an Israeli cow go? Moo. That's the Parsha, current events. What about the Haftorah? The Haftorah in Kedoshim that we read this Shabbos is Amos chapter 9. Again, this is always read Yom Ha'atzmaut time. And Amos, even though he was speaking about 2,700 years ago, he says something amazing. In this week's Haftorah, which is also the Haftorah of May 1948, the state was proclaimed. He says, he quotes God, Amos chapter 9, Pasuk 14. V'shafti et shvut ami Yisrael. I will bring back the captivity of my people Israel. Ubanu orim nishamot. And they will rebuild desolate cities. v'yeshovu, and they will dwell there. V'notu kromim, they will plant vineyards. V'shotu et yenam, and drink their wine. V'osu ganot, and make beautiful gardens and eat their fruit. Now, what's he talking about? When he was speaking to his audience, the people were not in captivity. The temple was standing in all of its glory. Israel was living securely in its land. They said, prophet, take a pill and lie down. What are you talking about, bring back to captivity? We're not in captive. What do you mean rebuilt desolate cities? The cities are not desolate. And then he says in Pasuk 15, almost 9:15, the Haftarah that we read Shabbos, and we read it in May 1948. Unetatem al admatam, and I will replant them on their land, God says. V'lo yenotshu od mi'al admatam, and never again will they be uprooted from their land. As nesati lahem, that I give them, Omer Hashem Elohecha, says Hashem your God. Now, when he said it to his audience, they didn't know what he's talking about. What do you mean, replant them in the land, you won't get kicked out? We're not kicked out. We're living in the temple, standing. Everything is dandy. So obviously, he wasn't talking to them. He was speaking to us. This is a prophecy for us, and always read Yom Ha'atzmaut. It's just amazing. He's speaking to us. May 1948, the Jewish state, when we came back and we built desolate cities and planted gardens. And unlike the first two times when we did get kicked out, Chorban Bayis Rishon by the Babylonians, and Chorban Bayis Sheni by the Romans. This is centuries after he said this prophecy. He said it way before Babylonians and Romans, but a prophet, past, present, and future. Hashem is tuned into God's channel. He says, when we come back this time, in May 1948, we will never be uprooted again from the land. Unlike the first temple destruction by the Babylonians, unlike the second exile by the Romans, this time, says God through the mouth of Amos, we're back for good, and never again will be uprooted from the land which I give you, says Hashem your God. Amazing current events in the Parsha and the Haftarah that we read this Shabbos and May 1948. Pretty amazing. You don't need any Bible codes. No Bible codes. It's right open. Amos chapter 9. Replant ruined gardens, rebuilt desolate cities. Hey, prophet, what are you talking about? Everything is rosy. Obviously, he wasn't talking to them. The Gemara Megillah said there were millions of prophets. How come only 48 are recorded? So Gemara Megillah says, because those millions of prophets, they spoke to their time. For their time, it had nothing to say to us. Tanakh is not a history book. Tanakh is God's GPS for the year 2020. So those millions of prophets, they were speaking for their time. We don't have to know what they said. It doesn't concern me. But Amos and the other 47 Nevi'im are speaking to us. Because when he's speaking to their audience, they didn't know what he's talking about. What ruined cities, prophet? What replant in the land? We're not kicked out. Everything is rosy. So Amos and the other Nevi'im recorded are speaking to us. So we have to know that. So the prophet says that we're going to come back and build this beautiful country. Tiny Israel, smaller than New Jersey, is the world leader in high-tech medical technology. We've saved so many lives through our medical technology. A world leader. How did we get to be the world leader? Of course Hashem did it. But what was God's game plan? The startup nation. The Jewish ingenuity. It's through the need for military technology for war. Since we were forced to fight so many wars, So this is God's plan. Through the need for military technology for the IDF in war, it evolved into civilian technology. We took the technology of war and produced a technology of life, of all the medical wonders. Israel is the leader. People come from all over the world to get a cure from Israel. So the military technology for war forced us to come up with this technology of what? We redirected it and produced technology of life. It's exactly what Isaiah chapter 2 says. Before the Messianic era, we will beat our swords into plowshares. The technology of war has now been redirected into a technology granting life to so many through the medical wonders of tiny little Israel. Israel invented a machine that captures moisture from the atmosphere. They extract water, Israel does, from the atmosphere. And we sell water to Jordan, tiny little Israel. How did it all come about? How did it all come about? King David says in Psalms 126, a song of moving on up, when Hashem will return the captivity of Zion, as he did in May 1948, we will all be like dreamers. Psalm 126. We don't believe it. All of these miracles, high-tech military miracles, Israel. We are like dreamers, says King David. We can all look back on the state of Israel, 72 years, with a deep sense of satisfaction and gratitude for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For these years have been extraordinary achievement for us. In 1948, the very day after our Declaration of Independence, a tiny population of Jews, many of them Holocaust survivors, stood their ground and defeated no less than 5 modern equipped Arab armies with tanks and planes and guns and artillery. 5 modern equipped armies. And what did we have? World War I rifles. And instead of bombs, we dropped seltzer bottles. You can Google it. Because seltzer bottles on the way down whistle. So they threw seltzer bottles from these biplanes in the infant Israeli Air Force, and the Jordanian tankers and Egyptian tanks saw these little missiles coming down whistling, and they turned tail. What an incredible miracle. Defeating 5 modern equipped armies with World War I rifles and seltzer bottles dropped from biplanes. What a miracle. We have been transformed into a mighty superpower. Militarily strong and secure, an economic powerhouse, leading the way in technology and innovation, a proud and vital center of Jewish life with thriving institutions of Torah learning. Never have there been so many Jews learning Torah in Israel, never, since the Second Temple, and perhaps even more now, according to Rabbi Wein. There's more Torah learning going on in Israel now than even during the Second Temple. From cherry tomatoes to drip irrigation to cybersecurity, from waves to wicks, quarks to quasicrystals, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, quarks to quasi-crystals. The Jewish state has advanced humanity in quantum leaps. Unbelievable. King David says we're like dreamers. All of this has been achieved in the face of ongoing wars, international campaigns of legitimization, the absorption of millions of refugees, and with very few natural resources. Israel has very few natural resources. But satisfaction is not the end of the story. As Jews, we are taught that satisfaction should give rise to another state of being, gratitude. It's a lesson we learn from the Birkat HaMazon, the blessing recited after a meal that includes bread. The source for this mitzvah is Devarim 8, verse 10, which states, when you eat and are satisfied, you shall bless the Lord your God. It is so interesting that the physical satisfaction from the meal is a crucial element of this mitzvah. In fact, the Talmud in Bracha 20 points out that the pasuk, when you eat and are satisfied, Devarim 8:10, implies that the primary Torah duty to recite Birkat HaMazon only applies when a person is properly satisfied. In other words, Birkat HaMazon teaches us that from satisfaction we need to move on to gratitude and thanking God as the source of all our blessings. And so on this important milestone yesterday, the anniversary of the birth of the State of Israel, marking 72 years, as we look back with satisfaction on all of the immense achievements of these past 72 years, our hearts are filled with gratitude and thanksgiving to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for his blessings that have made it all possible. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, is famous for having said, in Israel, in order to be a realist, you must believe in miracles. That's what Ben-Gurion said. In Israel, in order to be a realist, you must believe in miracles. God's miracles have accompanied the birth, growth, and development of the State of Israel throughout these 72 years. From the great military victories, the breathtaking survival in 1948, the awesome achievements, tremendous, miraculous military victory, the Six-Day War. In West Point Academy, they study all wars except the Six-Day War, because they say we cannot study a war that is based solely on miracles. West Point. Tremendous, awe-inspiring achievements of the Six-Day War. Miraculous. And all the battles that have been, Israel has emerged triumphant over these many years, and so many enemies that we have. And the miraculous rebuilding of yeshivas and Torah learning on a grand scale, beyond the wildest dreams of those who saw the destruction of these yeshivas in the Holocaust. The Jewish people have established, with God's blessing, a thriving state in spite of all the odds. Israel, with God's help, continuously defied the natural order of things. Nobody comes back after 2,000 years. Nobody comes back after Auschwitz. A third of our people were massacred. And we come back and build this wonderful country 3 years after the Holocaust, a Jewish state in 48. It's just too miraculous for words. Rising like a phoenix out of the ashes of Auschwitz. Therefore, we have to have gratitude for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hakarat HaTov. Gratitude is the heart of our Jewish identity. The word Jew comes from the word Yehudi, which comes from the name Yehuda, Leah's fourth son. When she gave birth to Yehuda, she said, I will give praise and thanks to God. Bereshit 25. Sprecher explains that the name Yehuda contains the letters of God's name, Yud K, as well as the root of the word for thanksgiving, Haidah. King David, a descendant of Yehuda, and one of the greatest leaders of Jewish history, and the head of a powerful, sovereign Jewish state 3,000 years ago, with all the challenges and possibilities and responsibilities that accompany such a position, shows us the way of gratitude through his life's work, the Book of Psalms, which he composed with prophecy, and which is filled with themes of thanksgiving to God. And in our gratitude, let us find humility. The Meshech Chochmah explains that it's at the height of our satisfaction when we are most prone to arrogance, that we need to give thanks to God so that we can humbly reconnect with Him. That is why the mitzvah of Birkat HaMazon happens only after the meal is completed and not before. The Meshech Chochmah traces this idea back to the Torah context of the mitzvah of Birkat HaMazon in Devarim 8. In the very same paragraph where Birkat HaMazon is mentioned in Devarim 8, the Torah warns us against arrogance and forgetting where our blessings come from. Interesting, the context of the paragraph is the very same as we're discussing now. The following verse in that paragraph refers to living and building up the land of Israel, but it says, "And you may say in your heart, my strength and the might of my hand made me all of these achievements." Then Hashem says, "You shall remember the Lord your God, because He is the one who gave you the strength to achieve." Devarim 8. Sometimes we need to protect ourselves from our own blessings. The most famous blessing of all, Birkat Kohanim, begins, "May Hashem bless you and protect you." Why do we ask protection after blessing? The Tziv explains that we are asking God to protect us from the blessings that could potentially lead us away from God. But humility is not about denying our achievements. We need to acknowledge what we have achieved and pay tribute to the bravery and loyalty and sacrifice of Jews in Israel. This is the path to true enduring blessing in this world. Our sages teach that when we give thanks to God, we are unleashing His further blessings into the world. So therefore, when Israel reaches 72, let us rise to the occasion by responding with both gratitude and humility. And let us unleash abundant divine blessings for another 72 years of greatness. Thank you very much.
For more of Rabbi Sprecher's teachings, visit rabbisprecher.com.